Okay, so now it's on to replacing the suspension. I'm putting a lift kit on, so I'm going to do both the shock and the spring. However, if I was just doing the shock, I'd only have to undo the shock mounting bolt here and the one up here. Because I'm also doing the spring, I'm also going to have to do the bolt that attaches the lower control arm. Once I get both those off, it'll just simply be a matter of remove the shock, drop the lower control arm very carefully. You can see that I've got it sitting here on the floor jack and a bit of wood. Then what I do is I remove the springs, spring seats, and put the new ones in. Obviously then jack it back up, put it all back in, do the bolts up, and Bob's your uncle. Righto. So first of all, I'm going to remove the two lower bolts. I'm going to use my rattle gun. Hopefully it should come off nice and easy, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've run into I'd imagine is a common problem. The top bolt to remove the shock absorber is pretty much rusted in place. It's really difficult because there's nothing stopping the tube from spinning. So what I've done is I sprayed it with some WD-40. We'll see how we go. I'll show you what I did to get it off. Well, as soon as I was going to throw it away anyway, what I've done is I just used my Dremel tool to cut the actual bolt. So it's just loosened on the top and pretty much now it's coming straight off. I guess now it's just a matter of lowering the arm and removing the spring. Alright, so I guess I've just got to get it a little bit lower and the spring should come out. We'll see how that goes. I'll just pause for a second. Alright, so it popped all the way down now. Spring's out, spring seats are out. It's a bit filthy, so I'm going to just get some water and a bit of a rag and give it a bit of a clean up before I put the new spring in. It's not a bad idea really. Okay, so the spring went back in pretty simply. The only thing I had to do was, because the lower control arm moved to the rear, I had to attach the ratchet strap again just to pull it over. Once that was done, used the jack to lift it back up. It's gone straight back into where it needs to be. Bolt goes in. Most importantly with the suspension is you don't tighten it off until it's actually on the ground. So for the moment I've just tightened it up so the bolt's in, and then I will complete the tightening process once the car is back on the ground again. Next thing I'm going to do is simply slide in the new rear shock. Again, pretty simple process. Put it in through the top, do the nut up, then bolt down the bottom. 2 bolts, all good. Okay, so that's the upper one in now. All I have to do really down for the bottom is just pull it into position. So extend the shock down into where it belongs. Until it gets into the right spot, then this bolt will go through and the rear will be done. Okay, onto the replacement of the front suspension. Obviously putting the lift kit in, Archam 4x4, thought I'd give them a run. So what we've got here is to get the suspension out, and quite nicely enough the whole Archam actually came as a completed strut, so I don't have to pull any springs apart or do anything like that, which can be a bit of a hassle sometimes. What I've got instead is the full strut. Now to get the actual shock absorber out, you need to remove the upper control arm. To do that, you've got to start by removing a bunch of clips under here, so including brake line, ABS sensor clips that just hold everything onto the upper control arm. So pretty much there's about two 10mm bolts and also a little clip that you've just got to pop off. Be careful with this one, because the last time I did this on my old Pajero, when you pop the clip it can fling and you don't want to lose it because they're kind of hard to find. Once we've done that, have to remove the upper control arm bolts and then the ball joint bolts as well, so that the upper control arm will come off. Once that's done, you can then move round to the top and do the 3 bolts at the top, also the shock absorber to lower control arm bolt as well. All those come off, it comes out, new one goes in. I'll let you know if I've got have any grief, particularly with the 2-inch lift. So far I haven't had to do anything with the brake lines at the back or hopefully the front. There was plenty of flex in those, so here's hoping. Alright, well that's all the lower bolts out of the way. The 2 at the back are always quite difficult, but you know, small spaces, that's how it works. That bolts out. Now I've just got to do the 3 at the top, 14mm, and it should just slide out and the new one should hopefully go in. We'll see. Righto, there we go. She came straight out. Okay, so I'm not that funny, but anyway, I thought I'd crack a joke. Now it's just a matter of putting the new one in, and we'll see how easy that is. It's going to be interesting with the different length. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm sure it'll work. Alright, that's it, we're back in. All tightened up, haven't tightened down the bottom yet, that's back in. Probably the easier way too, when removing the upper control arm, remove the ball joint first. Makes it much easier to manoeuvre the bolts in and out of the upper control arm. Otherwise, we're in. One more side to go. That's really pretty much the same as what you've seen. Has taken me probably, I started work at about 7 this morning, it's now 3 in the afternoon, so 7 hours to do the suspension one side and both sides for the lower control arms. That probably what took me the longest, because there was a lot of work to get those out and get them done.